Today is the 1st June 2026, second month that I'm doing this practice, and today just another one of my practices of overcoming my hesitations and my fears. First month is done. Today I want to talk about autopilots or autopiloting, not the technical autopilots that fly planes, but kind of the mode that especially lately, I'm very often autopilot and just doing my default things, not thinking a lot about stuff, and just doing what my instincts, what my default behavior makes me do. That's what I call autopiloting. I probably assume a lot of people would use the same word, but just to clarify. Autopiloting is a very powerful tool. Like, it's the default behavior. If we are able to change the behaviors our autopilot will just do, we are able to do behaviors basically automatically. I'm trying to use them as good as I can. Lately, not that well, but I will get there. But it's very powerful if I'm able to teach myself default behaviors. If I'm able to teach myself that when I feel bad, when I feel down, when things are difficult, to pull myself up, to do something that is fun, to do something that is healthy and that improves my life and my current day, and have that my autopilot, my default behavior, then that is an insanely powerful tool to use and to have. And something that's very powerful to invest into. Because as soon as something becomes the default behavior and the autopilot thing, it becomes the norm and it will just be done. It's difficult to change it, and I very much notice in the last years using that a lot, that it also, even if I teach myself that I do something in autopilot, it gets lost after a while if I stop teaching myself and I stop practicing it and I only rely on the autopilot. I have to reinvest again on building the habits back up. A lot of times that's what I experienced in the last years, that autopiloting, even teaching it once, it's not enough. I have to redo it and probably retrain it over decades, I assume. That's my current knowledge base of that I forget and fall back to things that are more ingrained in me, that are sadly that often not very healthy and not very helpful and often standing my way. And yet it's also, I guess, the other side. It can be a very powerful tool, but autopiloting can also be very problematic if not taken care of, and especially if not aware. When I'm not aware that I'm an autopilot, I'm just doing whatever I'm doing, just feeling and acting more out of instinct, losing focus in a way, where what I might want and what I think that's important to me becomes secondary to just what is my default behavior and what I act out. And losing that intention from the autopilot takes intention away, and if I'm not training my autopilot intentionally and making it do things that I want it to do, and if I'm then in a period where I'm not aware that I'm autopilot, where there's not really another way than just being an autopilot for quite some time, it can be quite difficult, and it can take away a lot of autonomy and a lot of intention that I want to have in my life, or that I might want to have in my life. Because then it's just all about the default behavior, and whatever that creates, whatever situation it creates, whatever situations that will put me in. So that is the danger of autopiloting. If we're not aware, if we're not using it, if we're not guiding it, if we're not training it, our autopilots can lead us somewhere where we didn't intend to end up. And if we don't check on it and reflect on it and be intentional with it and train it and guide it, if we don't do that often enough, my experience is it will degrade. It will make things, it will just go very much the path of least resistance. Not that that's not always the case, in my opinion. But yeah, we are not really sure where we end up, even in which direction we go when we are autopiloting. And if we don't make sure that our autopilot is actually doing something that we want, it might not bring us where we want to be. And it might not help us. It will actually probably make things worse. That's the downside of autopiloting. Of course, it has a strong upside that everything that we are able to do in autopiloting is very easy, very energy efficient. It's very... There's never an issue doing something in autopilot. The issue is always getting out of it. The issue is even more so not just getting out of it, but changing it. That is, and making the change last. That's, in my experience, very much the most difficult thing. It's so insanely easy to fall back into old habits, into bad habits, into breaking routines that we're trying to build up. That is so insanely easy. And it's even worse when I'm down. Like when I feel bad, when I feel down, when I struggle with things, when I'm afraid, when I'm stressed, when I don't feel well, when I haven't slept well, things are a lot more worse. It's kind of this joke of life that things are really easy, things are just good. If I just have a good time, everything runs well, then everything becomes a lot easier. While if things are bad and I'm struggling, and especially if I'm mentally struggling or even physically, I'm not slept well, things become a lot more difficult. Motivation becomes a lot more difficult. Any kind of change becomes a lot more difficult. Getting out of myself, pretty much life in general, just becomes more difficult when I'm already down, which not very smartly set up. I would like to have that fixed in the next patch, but I guess that will never come. Other than that, I don't have much more to say to autopiloting. At least nothing that is on my mind right now. I still have a little bit of time for this practice. I think I'm very much an autopilot with this practice, which not with this particular practice, but in general lately. I'm not that intentional with this practices currently. They're a little bit more just a side activity, which is kind of good. I think it's kind of important for me to just have this making videos. On one side, that it's fun, which I have to say I always enjoy just being here, recording myself, talking. That's kind of fun. It's always kind of a little bit grounding, a little bit focusing. It feels a little bit more productive, just recording myself here. So I never really had, in like this last month, a bad experience in any way. Actually, they were one of the best experience in the last month for me. Just doing this recording, even if they are just on the side, which makes it a little bit more weird. And I'm not even intentionally, I'm kind of putting them aside and kind of even want to skip them and kind of not want to do them. That might be also just my autopilot, where I'm just not getting out of it, and my autopilot is, that's something new, I don't want to do this. It's weird, actually it's good, but even a good new thing is bad to do. It's not autopiloting, I'm not in autopilot when doing this, so maybe that's the weird thing here, probably. I'm just a little bit too on autopilot, and these practices bring me a little bit out. And there's again the bad side. I'm not being intentional enough with these practices, but I also think right now the most important thing that I can do with this practice is just being comfortable making videos, just not thinking about it, just not feeling about it, just not worrying about it, just have it something that I can do. And Today, this is the 27th practice that I'm doing. So at this channel I have 27 videos recorded. Time is over. I have 27 videos recorded, which for a habit is also not that much. Just 27 repetitions are not that many repetitions. They're getting a lot easier. Again, I think one of the 4 videos and for YouTube, one of the biggest problems currently, I think, is whether I don't have enough structure, I don't have enough guidance, even just for myself, to talk about something. I'm just setting a topic up and just talking whatever comes to my mind, which is probably not the best to watch it. I wasn't really looking or trying to improve any of that right now, because it's not about the practice. I don't want to now put pressure on me. I don't want to set any goals as okay, I want to improve my performance in front of the video. I don't want to be better at talking and being more smooth and being more expressive, or being more fluent, having less breaks, being less awkward. I haven't even watched very much any of these videos back so far. So honestly, I don't even know how these videos look. I haven't watched them. And again, with autopiloting right now, I also don't often really think about, okay, where do I want to bring them next? Lately, I try to do the reflections in these practices themselves a little bit, so I have a little bit of time where I can do that. I also haven't really done one of the planning practices again, so I need to get back to them too. I also wanted to try if I feel better talking in German. Maybe I should switch the language and just go to my mother language, because there I can just talk way better. I'm not sure if that would just decrease how much I pause, how difficult it is for me to express myself just from the language point. Maybe I should just stay in my mother language. That's maybe something that I should just try out in one of these multiple practices, just do some in German. But yeah, that's enough for today. Let's get back to autopiloting, I guess. Have a good day.